Hello and welcome to Beaverdale Books. We are so happy to have you join us tonight for chocolate and wine and Mary. And to hear about some uplifting true stories, sure to put a smile on your heart. This month we are just packed full of events, and I hope you'll take a few minutes to check out some of the other authors that we have scheduled. This is our list of November events. So you can see it's quite lengthy. So we have copies up there. You can pick one up. And also, hopefully, some of you got this wonderful catalog in the mail. This is our holiday catalog. And there's a 10% off coupon that is good for any of the books that are in this catalog. So hopefully you'll do a little Christmas shopping or holiday shopping. We also have some great poetry events. I was talking to some of you earlier. This weekend, the Poetry on the Prairie is happening up in Perry, and we're going to be up there. And then we also have an open mic poetry night this month with Kelsey Bigelow and Caleb Rainey, and that's on November 22nd. So just all kinds of literary events going on. Tonight, Mary Freeman Boardman is going to share her new book, Heart Smiles, and it features true accounts of incidents that have happened to her during her lifetime so far. Some funny, some uplifting, but all sure to give you a warm, fuzzy feeling that leaves you with a smile on your face and an even bigger smile on your heart. After serving in the U.S. Air Force during the Vietnam era, Mary published her first book in 1970. She's a member of Romance Writers of America, Mystery Writers of America, Iowa Writers Corner, and the Tuscaloosa Writers and Illustrators Guild. She teaches how to write a novel throughout Iowa's libraries, the Des Moines Public Schools Community Education Program, and the Iowa prison system, a position secured for her by former Governor Tom Vilsack. Mary was born and raised in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and when not writing, you can find her out photographing wildlife or playing music on a variety of instruments, including piano, hammered, and mountain dulcimer. I don't know what that word is.
Doumbek.
Doumbek. Okay. Zills, washboard, and bones. So please join me in a warm welcome from Mary Freeman Boardman.
Thank you. And first of all, I want to say thanks to everybody for showing up. I really appreciate it. I was kind of thinking that maybe I would show up and that would be it. But I'm glad all of you came. I'm going to talk a little bit about how I got started writing and all that kind of stuff. And if you have questions, just yell at me, okay? I will be glad to answer.
You want to see if they need that?
Is that better? Can you hear me better with that? Okay.
I can hear you good.
All right. We'll try this. I started. Hi, come on in. I started writing years and years ago. By the time that I could walk, I was already creating stories. Some people thought that, hey guys, come on up, grab some chocolate and wine and join us. I started writing, and when I was just learning how to walk, actually, I would create stories, and those I would keep to myself, because at that point, back in those days, people talking to you in your head, they considered you were crazy. Maybe I am, because I kept talking to all those people in my head as I grew up, and they became characters in my stories that I wrote. Wrote my first book in 1970, and actually wrote my first article, a magazine article, in 1970, and it was an article for Parents Magazine. Well, at that time, I was, in my 20s and knew absolutely nothing about being a parent. So what they ever found in the article, I have no idea. But they paid me $20 whole for that and put my name on the magazine. I was in heaven. I was in heaven, let me tell you. But at that point in my life, I couldn't afford to buy the magazine myself to keep a copy of it. So, but I went on and kept writing and kept writing. And so it starts out with Once Upon a Time, and it ends up with The End. And once upon a time, I started writing. I wanted to be a writer, and I made it. The end. You can too if you want to do it. All you got to do is just keep your eye on your goal, and you'll get there. Heart Smiles. Heart Smiles is things that have happened to me during my lifetime. Some of them are unexplainable, kind of. Others are things that I did that got myself in trouble. When you're a writer, a lot of times you might decide that you want to try something to see if it works for one of your characters. Well, if you are sitting in a chair and your heroine in this particular book has not a stitch of clothes on, and she's tied up in a chair, and she's got to get out of that. She's got to get out of the chair. And I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to get out of a chair? How am I going to get her out of this chair if she has nothing to help with? So I thought, okay, let me try this. Yeah. You can imagine. Cops were called. Didn't go well for me. But I found out how to get out of the chair. Other little things like that have happened to me. There was an incident about a cat. You save the cat. And for all my writing friends out there, you know what I mean by save the cat. There's more chairs up here if you guys want to come on up and have a seat. My writing friends will know, you have to save the cat. In other words, if your hero or heroine or somebody is starting out in your story and they are not likable to begin with, you send them off to save a cat. Not necessarily a real cat, but maybe they go and save somebody, from drowning, or maybe they save somebody from running in front of a car or something. It's called saving the cat. Well, there was a cat up a tree in my backyard, and yeah, I had to go save it. Problem was, once again, there was this problem of no clothes on. Seems like I wound up that way a lot. I don't know what the deal is. But I had this little Velcro towel, that I could put on, and so I went out to save the cat and climbed up the tree. And, it's a long way down that tree. It's really far down there when you're afraid of heights. So it's like, okay, if I just keep looking up, and I can maybe get down. So I get the cat, and my phone that I had with me, I dropped, and the towel comes off, and it goes to the ground. Once again, the cops are called. They know me by name. So does the fire department. Yeah. You'll find stuff like that in here. You'll also find that, sometimes I do something good that involves having clothes on. I had a book signing that I was going to, and I always take candy with me, because you got to have candy for people to come by your table and sample, and then maybe they'll look at your book and, that kind of thing. So I had stopped at my grocery store and went in and grabbed some candy to take with me to the book signing. And I got it, and I'm headed back up to the checkout lane, and there's this odd, awful smell. I mean, it was so bad, my stomach went, ugh. And I noticed that people were way back. And then I noticed that there was a man in line in the cashier, and even the cashier was having a difficult time breathing. It was that bad. The man standing there probably hadn't had a bath in at least 5 years. Clothes were, bad. But he had a pack of cigarettes and a candy bar. And that's what he was trying to count change and pay for. And the smell was just raunchy. Little voice, I hate those little voices because they tell me to do things I don't want to do. But the little voice in my head said, he needs a hug. Bet he hadn't had a hug in a long time. You need to give him a hug. And I'm thinking, no, I don't. Really? No, I don't. Yeah, I needed to give him a hug. So I walk up there as best I can, and I said, "Hi, Pops. How you doing? Give me a hug." And I hugged the man like he had never been hugged before. It took a bit, but I walked him out of the store like he was the perfect gentleman with, just fabulous. Walked him out there, and I handed him my card, and I handed him a $20 bill. And I said, "You need anything, you call me." I said, "I'll take care of you." I went on to my book signing. A year later, I see a man in the same store, and he's following me. And I'm thinking, okay, he can't do anything to me right here in public. I mean, there's people all around. So I go ahead with my shopping and grab my thing of candy that I needed and head to the front. And he says, "Oh my gosh, it is you." And I'm going, "Yeah, last time I looked, it was me." He said, "No, it's really you, my angel." And I'm thinking, I ain't nobody's angel. No, you're mistaken. But no, it was the same gentleman. I didn't recognize him because he had on a suit. His hair was impeccable. He smelled great. He was a different person. And he says, "Come with me, let me buy you a cup of coffee. And let me tell you why you're my angel." And I'm like, okay, I'm always up for coffee. Not a problem. So we sit down, and he begins to tell me his wife had died. There was nobody left. And he hadn't talked to anybody in a long time. Nobody had talked to him in a long time. And he was ready to go join his wife. That particular moment in time, he was buying his last cigarette and his last piece of candy, and he was headed down to the riverbank. He was going to sit there and smoke that cigarette and eat that piece of candy and then call it quits. Except I came along and hugged him. That little voice, that little intuition, that little thing that so many people ignore. I'm sure you've all heard it. That little voice in there that says, you need to turn right instead of turning left. Pay attention, okay? If it tells you to turn right, you turn right. But that little voice told me to hug that man, and I did. And that was the beginning of a great relationship with that man. he went on to become a greeter at Walmart. A greeter at Walmart, of all things. But he was alive, and he was doing something, and he was having a good time. You'll find that story. And whole bunches of others like it. I decided when I wrote this, because I have gone through a number of stories like that, a number of things like that, where that little tiny voice inside my head said, do this. And as long as I follow that little voice, I'm okay. It's when I decide not to that I get in trouble. But I decided that at my age now, those kinds of stories need to be out there. They need to be told. Nobody is going to tell me that I'm crazy. Well, they may. We all know that anyway. But it's these stories that need to be out there so that people can say, hey, that's a little bit of goodness and still in this world. There's those little things like that you find throughout here. There's a time in my life back when I was a child that we were poor. I grew up in the South and we were poor. You don't know what poor is until you live like we did. But there was a wooded area behind my house, and that's where I got to play, was in this wooded area. The problem is, down south, you have rattlesnakes all over the place. Big ones. You have spiders, big ones, all over the place. That's where I get my fear of spiders from, is living down there, going to the potty, which was an outdoor potty, two-holer kind of thing, you know. But living down there, and as a child, walking into the woods, I was almost going to step over a log, and a lady grabbed my hand and told me to stop. And I did. I must have been 4, maybe 5. I did. I stopped and did what she said. And she told me to back up really slowly. And it's a good thing I did, because there was a big, huge rattlesnake on the other side of that log. And if it had bitten me, I'd have been gone. But she saved me. She did. The thing that I noticed about this lady was the brightness. There was bright light all around her. People think I'm crazy. Maybe I am. I don't care. Because that lady saved me. She saved a little 4 or 5-year-old girl. Except she wasn't a lady. She appeared just there. And the one thing that I learned from being out there in those woods by myself like that, first of all, don't go by myself. Take my brother with me. I had a bigger brother. You know, he was a couple of years older, so he needs to go with me when I go out into the woods. And he needs to go first. See, I pay attention. But there's stories like that I have run across all my life. And I thought, now's the time I need to tell people that there's more out there than what we can imagine. There's more things out there than what we know about. And that little voice, that little gut feeling, that little instinct that you get at times, pay attention to that. Because it's somebody telling you something. Might keep a rattlesnake away from you. Or one of those big honking spiders that I always had to deal with. Anybody have questions so far? Anybody in here can write a book. It's easy. All you got to do is just sit down and bleed on the paper. if you sit down and you have a goal in mind, let me give you an example. I have $1 million in a bank, and it's in Kansas City. All you have to do to have that $1 million, I'm going to give it to you, $1 million. All you got to do is get to Kansas City before the bank closes at 4 o'clock tomorrow. How are you going to get there? Anybody? How are you going to get to Kansas City by 4 o'clock tomorrow?
Drive there.
Drive. You got a flat tire. What you going to do now?
I'm going to get her and change it.
She has no jack.
I'm going to stick my leg out so people can stop and help me.
Nobody likes your leg. Any other way?
Call the tow truck.
Call a tow truck. Tow trucks are all busy. They're going to be there the next day. Any other way?
Could fly to Kansas City.
Fly to Kansas City. All the planes are grounded. They're sweeping the skies. You know, they're cleaning the skies up, so all the planes have been grounded. Any other way? $1 million. Come on. $1 million. Walk. Walk. You broke your leg.
Offer to split it with somebody who'll take you.
Can't find a single person that will split it.
I'd turn it down.
This is what you have to do when you decide that you're going to be a writer. You have to come up with a way to get you to that point, no matter what. No matter how many planes are grounded or flat tires or whatever, you still have to come up with a way to get there. Okay? And if you keep your eye on that goal, that's what you will wind up with. You'll get there. The same thing, you do the same thing when you write a story. Okay? You start out with a character who has a goal. Their goal may be going to Kansas City to get $1 million. You, the writer, have to come up with all these things that get in their way to keep them from getting there. But then in the end, you have to let them win and get there. It's like MacGyver. We all know MacGyver, okay? We're going to put MacGyver in a garage. And somebody's been working on a car there. There's one of those little car roly-dolly things underneath the car where they've been working on it, that kind of thing. And MacGyver's in there, and we're going to break both of his arms, and we're going to break both his legs. And then we're going to set the garage on fire. Now, you're going to have to get him out of that situation because you're the writer. You can do all this stuff to him, but then in the end, you've got to get him out of that situation. So the building is burning down around him. He's got broken arms, broken legs. How are you going to get him out of there? Well, you're going to make him use those broken arms to pull himself over to that car that had that roly thing underneath it. And he's going to pull himself up on that and shove it out the door, out the garage door, just as the building falls. And then the cavalry can come in, the cops and the fire department and all that can show up after that. But you have to save him. That's your job as the writer. You create all these different things, and then you save him in the end. So that's what we have to do. When you sit down and say, once upon a time, there was a little girl who wanted to be a writer, she made it. Okay? That's what you have to do. You'll find all sorts of good stories like that and more in My Heart Smiles. There's now 3 volumes of it. I've led an interesting life, let me tell you. If you don't believe it, just ask some of the people who do know me. But it's been fun. It's been fun. I've had an excellent time with life, even though it's been hard. You know, there's things that have happened that have set me back way back. But all in all, it's like, hey, I'm still above ground, and I'm still sucking air. I'm good. How about you?
Yes.
Everybody okay? All right. Any questions? Yes.
So, how many books have you written?
Well, Mary Freeman Boardman has written 5, I think now. No, 6 now. I also write under other names. I write under 4 different pseudonyms. I'm up to 28, I think, on my Maggie Rivers. Maggie Rivers writes romance for any of you that are romance readers. Let's see, who else? Jamie Lee Coulter. Jamie Lee has 1 out, and this next one is almost out. Jamie Lee writes inspirational kind of things. Lisa McBride writes mystery suspense, and there's 2 of those out, I believe. Who am I missing? Oh, this one. There's 3 of these. 3 Mary Freeman Boardman plus 3 others that aren't, with the heart smiles. So I've written a lot, and I've had a blast.
Which do you like best?
I like writing romance best because there's a happy ever after. I want the happy ever after. 2 people find each other, they fall in love, they have difficulty, but in the end, they're happy ever after.
Do you have series?
Shady Rivers series, Maggie Rivers. Shady Rivers is a small town that I created in Alabama, about 30 miles from where I actually grew up at. And there's a buffalo called Tiny who walks through the town and likes fried apple pies. And there's a whole bunch of different characters in there. There's the first book is Magical Mistletoe, and with that one we have Sheriff Spencer Cartwright, and the heroine is climbing a tree to get a piece of the mistletoe out of the tree, because the mistletoe, there's a old wives' tale about if you get a piece of that mistletoe, then the first guy you see is the guy you're going to marry. So she's wanting to know if the guy that she's planning on marrying is the right one. So she climbs up the tree to get the piece of the mistletoe. And that's in the very first book. The second one, what is the second one? Ruby Grace, maybe? Ruby Grace returns to the town and finds a lot of stuff that she likes there and stays. There's Cruising with the Top Down. I can't even remember all of them. I'm working, the one that I'm working on now that goes with that series is called Canceling Christmas. And hopefully, if I do this right, it'll be out in just a couple of weeks. The hero is come back to town, and he is taking over the mayor's job because the mayor has died. So he's taken over the job, and he's canceling Christmas first thing because he hates Christmas. And he has good reason for hating it. But the townspeople just don't realize his reasoning yet. So that one is coming out. But that's my series, and the rest of them are standalones. I have The Wrong Bride, The Wrong Groom, and The Wrong Wedding, but they're all 3 different stories. So, any others? Yes.
You can tell by this question I don't know anything about writing.
Okay.
Very little about music either.
Oh, you know music now.
Why do you have all these, what do you call them, synonyms?
Pseudonyms?
Pseudonyms?
Yeah.
Why do you have all these instead of just like...
Perfect question. Perfect question. People who read my Maggie Rivers romance books may not necessarily want to read my Jamie Lee inspiration stuff or my mystery suspense. And the people that read the mystery suspense may not want to read, the romance. So I divided up so that when you pick up a Maggie Rivers book, you know what you're getting. You're getting romance. And when you pick up the Mary Freeman Boardman, you know what you're getting. So that's the difference. Yeah. Other questions?
How far away do your books sell? How far, like, are they just in the United
One
States?
of them, I got an email from a gentleman off the coast of Africa on an oil rig telling me he loved my book. So I've gotten that. I've gotten letters from England, France, Spain, so that they go all over. And while I'm talking about that, it popped into my brain here. Reviews. Review books that you read for any author. It doesn't make, not just me, but any author out there. Review the book on Amazon, please, 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 because Amazon's algorithms kick in and put the book up in the ratings. You've seen that thing on the bottom a lot of times of Amazon where it says people also bought.
Yes.
That's because people have left reviews, and after so many reviews, then Amazon kicks in and starts saying, hey, there's a lot of people bought that book. People also buy this, So your Amazon does the advertising for you kind of thing. So, when you read somebody's book, go out and put it, and it doesn't have to be anything big. It can be, I like the book, I hated the book, anything. It's just the fact that you left a review. So,
Or put it on our Facebook page.
there you go. you can put it on Beaverdale Facebook too. But yeah, if you get it on Amazon, then the algorithms will kick in and move it up for the author. So you're helping the author get their books out there. So, other questions?
How many books are in the Stiletto series?
Oh, I think there's 14 or 15 now. We have one more that's coming out.
Okay.
I didn't mention that either. I do write as one of the Stiletto girls. There's 3 of us that write. I write as a whole bunch of people. One of the Stiletto girls, there's 3 of us. One lives in Mississippi. The other 2 are here. And we write stories, individual stories. So there's 3 stories in each book. And each story is rated by chili pepper. 1 chili pepper, 2 or 3. 1 chili pepper is mild. 3 chili peppers is oh mama. And I write the oh mama. But you'll find those out there too, the Stiletto Girls. You can go to my MaggieRivers.com, and on that you'll find books, and the Stiletto series is in there, and all the others are in there, so you can get your contacts in there for any of those that you want. So, other questions? Yes.
Mary, I know oftentimes the best writers are also very good readers. What is your favorite genre to read, or do you have authors that you enjoy reading?
My favorite author to read is Sharon Sala. And my favorite series that she did is what she called her Book of the Heart. And it begins with the book entitled Whippoorwill. And then it goes to the Amen Trail is the second one, and the third one is the Hen House. I have read those about 15 times a piece.
Wow.
I love those books, and she's my favorite author. So,
Have you met her?
yes,
Yes.
going to different book signings and book conventions and stuff like that. She's been there, and is a wonderful lady, just as sweet as can be. So,
Yeah.
More questions?
So do you have a great big library in your house of all these different books?
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 shelves that are top to bottom, and they're all doubled. 2 rows in each shelf.
So somebody could come to your house and they could buy books.
I won't turn them loose. You can come to my house and buy mine. I can do that. But the ones on my shelf, no, you can't touch.
No, I want to know how many books, like, you have of your books. Like, do you
Oh,
get like 50 of your books and stick them on
No.
a shelf? Oh,
no, I usually get about 25 of each one. And I have a closet with them all stacked in the closet. Because I can't keep them all. I mean, If I did, I'd have to move out of my house. Other questions? Okay.
Alrighty.
Well, there's plenty of chocolate and wine left back there in case anybody wants it. And thank you all again for coming. I appreciate you all so much.
And give us
Great.
just a minute. We'll clear some chairs out. She'll be here signing books, and you can pick up a book and then pay for it there. I'm sure she'll sign.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.